The state of Nagaland receives at least 2,200 millimeters of rainfall annually, but it is not evenly spread throughout the year. To address the drought and water scarcity issues, existing water bodies need to be repaired and restored, and at the same time, more water bodies need to be created, which will provide surface water flow during monsoon season and enriched groundwater during lean season. This was stated in the annual administrative report of the Water Resources Department 2022-2023. Now, the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Department of Water Resources, Government of India has approved the National Hydrology Project for implementation in the state along with the rest of the country and has sanctioned an amount of rupees 23 crores for implementation of the program over 8 years period starting 2016 to 2024. Now, Nagaland News Network has gone and spoken to the executive engineer of the Department of Water Resources, the investigation cell, and he has also told us about the National Hydrology Project, and as well we also spoke to a few workshop owners and mechanics who are actually is a flourishing business in Dimapur, the commercial hub, but then the use of water seems to be in excess. Let's have a look at the report. In the last few years, we have seen the huge decline in water supply in Dimapur district, being the commercial hub and the district with the highest population of the state. This is not going to change. In fact, the water levels are depleting, and even now with the rains that are here, we see that the levels of the rivers also are not as much or high as it used to be before in the previous years. There are so many aspects as to why the water is depleting. The groundwater wells are drying up, and one of them also could be the issue of so many workshops and garages in Dimapur town itself. Right now we are here in Kir Mahal Churches Colony, and then in one stretch alone I am told that there are more than 30 workshops. Right now we are here with Mofis. Ami khan lode Mofis ase. Mofis, apni edu workshop laga malik ase. Apni yadi kam kuri ase. আৰু মই উদিবলৈ মন যায় আপুনি পানী বেছি ইউজ কৰে যদি ৱৰ্কশ্বপ আৰু এইটো গাৰাজতে তো আপুনি এনে একটা দিন দে কিমান লিটাৰ নিচিনা চলাই
আমি তো পানীটো এনে দিনতে 30-40 লিটাৰছ পানী আমি আনবি চলাই আমি তো ইমান বি ইউজ নকৰে খালি গাড়ী খান নিমিতে পেইণ্টিং খান কৰে এইটো পুটিং শুটিং কাটে এইটো খান নিমিতে পানী লাগে নহ'লে তো দুসৰা একো নহয় নহ'লে কেতিয়াবা হাত টিং ধুলাব আমি আনি তোয়ে এইটো কাৰণে মানুহৰ লগা কম্পাউণ্ডে যাব লাগে পানী নিমিতে বি তাহান বি দিবলৈ বি অলপ কিবা কৰে হ'লে উপায় নাই আমি আনবি ৰিকুৱেষ্ট কৰি কিনা মাগি কিনা তাহানকে পানীটো চলাই আমি
তো এইটো 30-40 লিটাৰছ তো এইটো গাড়ী নিমিতে চলাই আছে আৰু আপুনি খান নিজৰ ছোট একটা ইউজ কৰিব পাৰ্সোনাল ইউজ কাৰণে তো এইটো তো বেছি এই 30-40 লিটাৰছ এক দিন দে বেছি আছে তো আপুনি বি এইটো পানী তাহালা আপুনি লা নেবাৰ্স খান লগতে যাইনা অধি আছে মাঙি আছে পানী তো ইদুলা আপুনি খান বি ইস্যু তো ইমান গাৰাজ খান আছে ৱৰ্কশ্বপ খান বেছি আছে তো ইদু খান কিনা কৰিবলৈ আছে পানী নাথাকিলে আপুনি খান কি ভাবনা আছে
এইটো খান পানী নাথাকিলে তো গেৰেজ ৱৰ্কশ্বপ খান তো বেছি দিগদাৰ হৈ যাব দুখ হৈ যাব তাহান তো পাকিলে পানী পুৰাই সব কাম কৰে তো গাড়ীতে বি কেতিয়াবা পানী আমি আনবি হালিব লাগে আৰু পেণ্ডিং চেণ্ডিং গাড়ী চাৰি কেতিয়াবা অলপ চুতুমুতু ধুলাব গ'লে পানী লাগে পানী নাথাকিলে তো একো কৰিব নাপাৰে আমি আনবি আমি খান খালি আমি লাগাবি নহয় আমি নেবাৰ্স তিনিটা গেৰেজ বি আছে তাহান বি এনেকা দুখ কৰি আছে পানী নিমিতে তো মানুহনকে মাঙিলে বি তাহান বি এতিয়া নাপাৰিব এতিয়া লাইট নাই তো ভোল্টেজ নাই ইটো আছে বেছি ইস্যু দেখাই আছে মানুহন বি এইটো
আপনি খান লা ইয়াতে 3-4টা ৱৰ্কশ্বপ আছে ইয়াতে ঠিক আপনি লা ইদু নেক্সট ডোৰ নেবাৰ খান বি সব ৱৰ্কশ্বপই আছে তো তাহান বি পানী কুত পৰা আনি আছে
তাহান বি এনেকা আমি সেম কণ্ডিশ্যন সেম আমি যেনেকা লৈ আছে তাহান বি এনেকাই আছে এনেকাই মাঙি কিনাই লৈ আছে তাহান বি
আপনি খালা মালিক খান বি পানী দো কুত পৰা টানি আছে ওয়েল
পানীটো আমি আনলা মালিক লাগাটো ইয়াতে এইটো নেক্সট কম্পাউণ্ডতেই আছে তাহান লাগাটো তাতে পৰাই টানি কিনা আনি আছে আমি এইটো বৰ্ডিং আছে হয় বৰ্ডিং
তো তাতে বি তাহান মাটি দো কুন্দিং নাই লোৱা লা আছে তো তাতে হুতাই না লোৱা তো এতিয়া তক তো কাফি আছে
এতিয়া তক তো ঠিকে আছে এতিয়া তক একো কিবা নহয় হ'লে বি দিগদাৰ তো পায় পানী নিমিতে পানী লগা এইটো সলিউশ্যনটো একটা ওলাই দিছে গ'লে বেছি ভাল আছে পানী নিমিতে না আমি আনবি আৰাম হ'ব অলপ পানী লগা কিবা হ'লে তো নহ'লে তো পানী নিমিতে বেছি দুখ পায় আমি আনবি
কি নিমিতে ইউজ কৰে আপুনি ৱৰ্কশ্বপতে পানী দো
আমি যেনেকা লাইক দিছ গাড়ীটো পেইণ্টিং কৰিবলৈ আহে আমি এইটো পুটিং খান লগাই এইটো পুটিং কাটা টাইমতে পানী খান লাগে আৰু পুটিং কাটা পিছতে গাড়ীটো অলপ ধুলাব লাগে এইটোতেই পানী লাগে আৰু কেতিয়াবা আমি হাত টেং ধুলাব পাৰ্চনেল ইউজ না এইটোখানতে নহ'লে চুকুৰাখান থাকে তাহান ভাত চব্জিখান বনাবলৈ এইটোখানতেই লাগে নহ'লেতো দুসৰাতে একোতে ইমানটো নালাগে আমি
अच्छा तो उनके भी काफ़ी है पानी उनका।
उनका भी है पानी तो है। हाँ है।
तो आप लोग अगर 20 लीटर हर रोज़ इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं तो क्या होगा, मतलब ख़त्म हो सकता है, तो आपका वर्कशॉप कैसा चलेगा बिना पानी से?
बिना पानी से तो नहीं चल पाएगा। पानी तो ज़रूरी है, पानी तो रहना ही पड़ेगा।
आगे में आपका एक और किसी से बात हुई हमसे मोफिस करके, उन्होंने बोला वो तो 30-40 लीटर यूज़ कर रहा है, आपका बाजू में ही है, और वो बोल रहा था कि ईमान 30-40 लीटर्स यूज़ करे और आपने भी 15-20 लीटर्स यूज़ करे, तो खाली इधर एरिया दे दो एक दिन दे दो 100 लीटर्स मिनिमम तो यूज़ करे
হয় ইউজ হৈ আছে।
इधर। अच्छा ठीक है, কি কাৰণে কি নিমিত্তে আৰু यूज़ करे?
মান এইটো বাৰ্টন চাৰ্টন ধুলাই গাড়ী চাড়ী কেতিয়াবা ধুলাই
কিনা यूज़ करे वर्कशॉप?
এইটো পেন নিমিতে
अच्छा
ধুলাই খান কৰি কিনে ৰং চং মাৰিব লাগেতো না, তো এইটো টাইমতে ইউজ হয়।
Dimapur is the biggest district in Nagaland in terms of population, and we seem to be also facing some sort of crisis, the public. But then again, we have here Sir Kedovisu Sophie. He is the executive engineer of the Water Resources Department in the investigation cell. He's here to tell us. We were just having a word. But he has also informed us that there is no proof that our waters are depleting as yet, and even though we see it in our daily lives, in our homes, that wells are drying up or the consumption of water has risen due to population rise, he's here to give us a little gist and highlight on this issue. Sir, thank you so much. First of all, sir, I want to ask you, what are the water resources for Dimapur town or city, sir?
So for Dimapur district, the water resources are mainly the rivers. Those are the surface waters. Also the water bodies, like in the forms of lake or ponds. Then we have also on the other part the groundwater. So these mainly water resources are categorized in two resources. One is surface water, then the other one is the groundwater.
So can you give us a little explanation? Of course, groundwater itself tell us what it is. So surface water is obviously the on top. So which is better for consumption, sir, for human use?
Now, to give that answer, I think I cannot just answer it like that, because there are a lot of things which needs to be studied. How is the quality of the surface water, or how is the quality of groundwater? Now, groundwater, to my personal view, I feel that it is very early for Dimapur districts to be depending on groundwater at the moment, because whatever water is falling in the hills is ultimately coming down to the foothills. So I think we have sufficient surface water, but it is the matter how the quality is.
We see a lot of other districts such as Mokokchung, Kohima, in fact, the capital, facing a lot of water shortage issues. It is not a secret. So do you think that Dimapur also, in your opinion, in your expertise, that Dimapur will face such situation in the future if not managed or properly?
Yeah. Now, yes, the concern of water scarcity is in the mind of many people. However, it is very blunt to say that water is depleting, because all this, whether the water is depleting or whether the water is still remaining the same, it's a matter of observing those datas. Now, presently, our department under National Hydrology Project, we are installing many such instruments. For example, to measure the surface water, we are installing at all the major rivers of Nagaland AWLRs, known as automatic water level recorders. So besides that, we are also installing ARGs, that is automatic rain gauges. Then also to know the weather, since weather are in relationship, we are also implementing 6 automatic weather stations. Besides that, in Nagaland, to also have a general view, we have also installed 3 numbers of piezometer, that is to monitor the groundwater levels. So one is in Dimapur, just in the premise of our office. Then one we have installed in Kohima, and one in Tuli.
So in terms of the rivers in Nagaland and especially Dimapur district, we have very major big rivers that passes through Dimapur, like Dhansari River. So sir, these rivers, they seem to be getting smaller and smaller also in size due to development works. So sir, do you think that is a major issue that we should be worried about, that our rivers are also becoming smaller in size due to development activities?
Size in the sense of physical size? As per my knowledge, I have not observed such changes. But of course, we do observe some changes in the morphology of the river. These are because of there are a lot of human activities. Now, nature is very complex, so it is very difficult to understand the various inputs and how they interact with each other. So now it's not a matter of size to have even sufficient water for the future. I think it's very important to take care of the catchment. So to take care of the catchment in a sense, like the forest, and also this, we also call it as mulch, which we call this mold. So it is also said that this mold, this develops due to insect excretions, then dry leaves, dead leaves, branches. So this is said to be one of the largest freshwater reservoir. Now, if we want flow of water throughout the year in the river, this needs to be protected.
So for human consumption and irrigation facilities works, we are an agrarian state, so we do need a lot of water for agriculture purposes. But again, we have our population rising every year, you know. So sir, what do you think that should the public do, and how is the government also going to make sure that in future we do not run out of water? In your opinion, sir?
Now, regarding to safeguard water for the future or for agriculture, right?
Agriculture as well as human consumption.
As well as human consumption. Now, I cannot exactly say what needs to be done. I don't know whether I have the authority to also share my opinion, but first of all, to safeguard the water security for the future is to start observing and measuring, to measure it, so that we will also know whether it's depleting or whether we have that sufficient water or not. Now, without measurement, it is very difficult to also comment whether water is depleting or water is sufficient. So presently what we are doing under National Hydrology Project will also help in safeguarding water for the future, because our department as water resource department also is very new. It was renamed from irrigation and flood control to water resource department during 2018. So most of the things which we are doing are at its basic stage. So presently what we are doing, if we continue to do, I think we will be able to manage the water availability which we are having now properly for the future.
So that was Sir Keduvizo Sophie. He is the executive engineer in the investigation cell of the Water Resources Department. Now he has also said that we are not aware whether the water is depleting, even though every day we see it that there's some water shortage in our own homes or in our business establishments. But he's also mentioned that proper data and proper data as well as information should be there, so that we exactly know if there is any depletion or is there sufficiency of water. Many aspects can be attributed to the depletion of water, but as the executive engineer also told Nagaland News Network that there is no proof that there's water is depleting. It could be and it could not be, and the main concern right now is also the data that is not there to say that it is there's a scarcity of water. But we spoke to a few people, and then they, like the workshop owners and the mechanics, they say that they're consuming at least minimum of 20 liters in their small workshop, and that is just one workshop. And then now we have multiple workshops in just one stretch of anywhere in Dimapur town, and then each workshop is using 20 to 30 liters minimum of water. Now, if we count all of this in one area itself, we have just witnessed that they are using at least a minimum of 100 liters. Now, if this continues, we could face a shortage. But also, as the executive engineer also just said, that the groundwater as well as surface water, now the rainwater that comes from the hills to the plain areas, and this is the plain area of Dimapur, the surface water is good enough right now to use, as well as there is no scarcity due to the rainwater, that the rains that come in the hills and then the water that comes down. Esther here with camera person Hinoka for Nagaland News Network.